wonderful time I'm having at this hill station, which I call, according to India, it reminds me very much that I am in somewhere in Himachal or Himalayas in India, except for the wide roads which you guys have. We have very narrow roads there, so it's very difficult to drive in some parts of India where you have these hills at 10,000 feet or 12,000 feet, but it's really fabulous to go on those places and have a real retreat. But I'm privileged also to be a part of this institution for the last 24 hours, and also to see how even an institution like this, a state college here, is hosting as an international initiative from Fulbright side, and giving their students and also the faculty an exposure to what Fulbright is. And I will also encourage students, those who are nearing their, now going to the grad school, or they're planning their grad school, or even they're in the final years, they should look for Fulbright at the college stage. There are lots of opportunities. And if God willing you come to India, don't forget my name, don't forget to email me, and if you guys need any coordination at India level, at the country level, because now we are a family, and even if you are traveling through the passports which Mr. Sudhakar has initiated, the free passport, you are free to call me for any support, logistic support you need in India. So if I go back, just call me, just be at home. We Indians are, I'm going to start it in detail, but we Indians love to host and do guesting. Food is no problem. So at least fooding and lodging won't be a problem, and we have like hosts always ready to host you people. Okay, let me introduce me briefly. I am a journalist by profession. I occasionally go to classroom. But I go to classroom because when I get bored with the newsrooms, just to rejuvenate, to learn more. Classrooms are a great learning experience. And I have got those occasionally in my 24 springs which I have passed in the newsrooms, from 11 years in Times of India, then 12 years in India Today. Those two are the two largest media groups in India and in Asia. And then now I've switched to pure TV. For 23 years I have been in pure print. Like the smell of paper I want to have in the morning, or the magazine, anything, before I start my day. But now I'm in TV, it's a different world. It's like 24/7, so even on your home screen you have a TV where you keep getting all those news. So now I'm a senior executive editor of ITV Network, which runs about 13 channels. After the elections, we are planning to go big with about 18 channels. Then I also am taking care of the Sunday Guardian paper, which is a weekly paper, but it is in collaboration with the London Guardian, and so the style and the format is all same. And we have columnists from America also. In the US, people contribute every week. It comes on Sunday. You can and I have continued writing for that because I cannot stop writing. So once I'm done with my teaching schedule till Thursday, Friday then I start writing for my weekend. So I'm at least connected there as well, and I'm here as well. It has been a great experience here teaching. And I'm teaching journalism to students, undergrad students here at the Dell State University. And it has been a great experience getting exposed to the system which American education has. And maybe I'm carrying a lot of points back home to actually deliberate with the education sector people there, that how we can also come at par with the standards, the high standards which are set here. It has been a great experience. Now coming to the lecture series, I was told to, as a Fulbrighter, we are the brand ambassadors for our country. I am very fortunate to have not only Sudhakar, who has been with me all through the last 2-3 months on phone, and now with me, and now we have people who were here for the last 48 years, or some about 40 years or 42 years. So I'm really privileged, and we were almost sharing, then Jamie interrupted us. So I'll continue that talk. How many of you, except for these two, know about India or are interested in India? Heard about India? What have you heard actually? Is it only the films or the Bollywood or the food?
Pretty much.
Pretty much the food
Yeah.
and the movies.
Yeah.
Okay. Good, at least you are coming to this generation where you are looking at the films. Earlier, when we used to ask any foreigner what do you want to know about India, they used to only have Hare Krishna, Buddha, Gandhi, and Banaras. That's it. So those were the four things. Okay? Now you guys have added chicken tikka masala and all those chicken curries and cuisine and Indian flavors and the Bollywood as well. Now the Bollywood has merged with Hollywood also on some projects. Our actors are working here. The actors from here are working there, and there are so many collaborations coming. So that fusion is there. But India is much beyond this. It has a 8,000-year-old recorded history. If I even go from, I'm not going in the past and the legends and whatever it is, because everywhere you see a stone, something, people will start asking, oh, this is something, some lord stayed here. So you throw a stone in the back, in some state like Himachal, it will fall in some temple. There will be something somewhere. And I'm not joking. There are places in some states where you actually throw a stone in the back and it will fall in some religious place. Or there is some lord or some stone somewhere. So, and we respect those traditions, those cultures. It's the most diverse, religious, whatever be the political situation, whatever be the social, economic, I'm not going into today. We will discuss heavily on the culture which makes India so great. In that, we are not only the fifth largest growing economy, which we are now saying, culturally we are ahead, and it's now time that we preserve it, we restore it, we restore some of the fabric which we are losing, and also the heritage which we have, we showcase it and bring it to the wider public domain. So Sudhakar has given me a brief chance for at least an hour to showcase what we have. The Wonder That Is India is the right title. I could not find anything else as a student of history. I have read this book, but the only difference is it had The Wonder That Was India by A.L. Bashan. I have made it Wonder That Is India because now we are progressing further, as that lady said about films and movies, so we have added that too into this. But this picture on your left is just a galaxy, just a collage of the thousands of things we have to showcase. It talks about religious diversity. It talks about food, which is integral to our culture. It talks about the festivals which we celebrate. It also talks about the person who got asylum and became a spiritual leader for so many people, and the modern Tibetism flowed from this land. In 1959, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru gave him and many flee China from Tibet to come and stay in McLeodganj in northern part of India, which is a hill station. Today, this sect, the Tibetan sect of his group, has just spread all over India, in different parts of India. They have their own culture, which we all have merged into. The best thing about Indians, we merge very fast. We accommodate very fast people from outside. We have not gone against the invaders and the invaders, those who try to oppress. In fact, the cultures have got fusioned into each other. We have got multiple cultures because we have seen layers of cultures, layers of history is there. If I just give you a brief example of the place where I live, Delhi, if you dig around Purana Killa, which is an old fort, you will get 7 layers of history. There is a legend from Mahabharata, which is our famous epic. Mahabharata means the Mahabharat. That's a great India. So it's a tale of that, and it's an epic, and the capital was Delhi, according to the legend. So that layer, it says that there is a layer of that history available there. Then you have different layers of Arabs and Tughlaqs and the Mughals and British, and then finally the current generation. We built New Delhi in 1911. So that is from where now we are having something. And Delhi is still being built and rebuilt. So you have at least 7 layers of history, so it is also called the 7 cities. This has, the first photo shows you the food. Food is very much an integral part of our culture. As I just mentioned you, we love to host people. We have diverse food. There was a time when it was a great north-south divide. You could not have imagined in 70s or 80s or even till 90s a North Indian going for so much of dosas. Today, North Indians make it a habit to have dosas, idlis and all, which is a South Indian food, every weekend. It's now a regular diet of us from North India. And similarly, South Indians also coming and eating dal makhani and paneer and everything has become a part of their lifestyle. We are converging internally, we are expanding externally. And this is where we are taking our culture and culture beyond our borders and to merge it with different people. Coming to food, we have fusion from different cultures which have ruled over India. From our own Hindu style of food to different states which have their own food. It's not like you have simple American, which is say that you go to IHOP or Applebee's or something and you get this type of, or like in England you have the simple fish and chips. Those fish will be cooked in 20 style in India, and they all have their different spices. They ground their spices. We marinate our spices. So that's a different style. It will be very complex. So it's better just to eat Indian food without understanding what goes into that. So that's a tip for you guys. These are some of the festivals which I'll go in detail in the next slide. But you must have heard about the Festival of Lights, which is called Diwali. It's the same, and it's the same passion, and the festivity is the same like in America people celebrate Christmas. And mind you, we are also celebrating Christmas in big ways these days, because for kids it is not just a holiday, it's also a chance for going out, and it's a big shopping week also for us. So it's a gifting time. So we are also celebrating Christmas. We also light candles at the different churches and in the schools. Then this is our festival, which is Holi, which is a festival of color. And here also, in both Diwali and Holi, food is, by the way, food, dress, costume, communities, they are all cuisines, they're all part of every festival which we celebrate. This is the festival of Eid Mubarak, which is celebrated by the Muslims. And as you know, I must tell you briefly that we are now currently 1.4 billion people. Madam is just saying, oh my God, she missed it in 60s and 70s when she came. Yeah, we have expanded very fast. So we are 1.4 billion people. We are almost like 4 times more than America. But in the land mass, America is same, 4 times or more than 4 times of India. So there can be 4 Indias in that, but we can accommodate 4 Americas. So that's a interesting thing. And we also take pride, being the largest democracy next with America. We are the largest one. So we almost like 1/6 of the humanity vote in India, of the world, because we have 800 million people voting. So that's a pretty good amount. Let's go to this. I've tried to put this in symbols. This is my country, my India, with so many symbols depicting different elements which we have in our life, of art, literature, culture, music, architecture, festivals, food, sports also. In sports like here, the baseball and the soccer is very important. We have cricket as a religion. After all the gods, we have cricket as a religion. And we play cricket a lot. It's the same like baseball. I don't know what's the connection between the baseball and the cricket, because almost it's the same. It's a bigger ball with a different bat, but we have a smaller ball with a flat bat. But there is some similarity, which as a student of history, I'm always intrigued to find a connection. because we both were ruled by the British. And maybe out of vengeance, the Americans didn't like the bat and the ball they had, so they had their own bat and ball. But we continued to be, because we were ruled till late. Okay, let's go to this. This will give you just a quick overview. As you all know, it's the most religiously diverse country in the world, where several religions coexist and have been coexisting. I will not bore you or confuse you with more, but we have mainly these 6. But there are lots of other sects, subsects, and there are other tribes. They have their own religious traditions, and they have, like, time immemorial, they have been coming, and they have been living, and they are having their own practices. Hindus constitute nearly 80%, 14 to 15%, 14% as the Muslim population. We have 2%, nearly 2% Christians, and then you have Buddhists, Jains, and Sikhs. You have Parsis and others also, who were also, like, into India as a result of trade and invasions. This is the flag of India, which has saffron, white, and green. This is our national symbol, which is called Ashoka Chakra. Chakra means wheel. So this wheel of Ashoka is the emblem of a very famous ruler from the Maurya dynasty, say Ashoka, who actually was a great warrior. And the history is, after killing millions of people through his valor and his power, he actually got converted to Buddhism. And after that, he erected stupas and all those big pillars where he got those teachings of Lord Buddha enshrined. He just got all those on those pillars for people, public, to just reach out to the teachings. Those were all the teachings which were put on, the inscriptions were put on those pillars. So we have got that wheel of Ashoka that became, the flag is hoisted on 2 occasions. One is the 15th August, the day India got independence, and it is also the day when the Prime Minister gives speech giving the details about what we have done and what we plan to do, and that is done from the Red Fort of India, which is Mughal era big iconic monument in New Delhi. And on second day is the Republic Day, which is 26 January. India got independence in 1947, but became republic in 1950. 3 years went into the making of the Constitution, and finally everything came into play and act on 26 January 1950. From then onwards, we became a republic, a socialist, secular, democratic republic. So these are the 2, and connected with this, a lot of people, you may have read about Indians not hoisting flags on houses and everything. That was the case earlier. Now, thanks to a petition, a guy who won it, now we can hoist it. So we have people also, because that's a symbol of our nationalism also, it's a symbol of our love and patriotism. So we are also entitled to hoist flags, other than just the public buildings, which were earlier the domain of the government. This is just a collage, the monuments that reflect the rich culture. This is Taj Mahal, this is India Gate, this is Golden Temple, this is Humayun's Tomb, this is Qutub Minar, this is Hawa Mahal. This is Red Fort, from the Prime Minister gives the speech. This is the observatory. This is Gateway of India in Mumbai. This is the famous House of Gods, where so many religions are there. And then you have many more monuments here. I just tried to put that in a collage, but I'll just explain this, why I am showing you this slide. Architecture tells you a lot about Indian culture. It's a fusion of different cultures that existed. It may be a Hindu architecture. In some, it may be a fusion of Mughal and Hindu architecture, as we see here in the Rajasthan, Hawa Mahal and all. Hawa Mahal, in the Rajasthan architectures, there are a lot of fusion of the Muslim architecture also. So it reflects, this is the purely British, which will remind you about something like the French Paris and all those. So this is India Gate. This is from where just 50 meters down, the president stands and sits the whole day, up to from 9 a.m. to 12 or 1 p.m. There we celebrate Republic Day. And on Republic Day we have a foreign guest who is a state guest of the country, so he's hosted. And the president takes charge of this. You have this Gateway of India at Mumbai, which is our financial capital. Like you have New York and DC, we have Delhi and Mumbai. Delhi is the political capital. New York is a financial city of yours. We have Mumbai as a financial city where most of the top industrialists and the richest Indians live. And it is also the place where your Bollywood is. And Bollywood is iconic with and symbolic to Mumbai. This is also the place which in recent times got famous for something which is unfortunate. It's 26/11 which happened. Those terrorists came through this river, this sea, and they entered, and this is the hotel. So if you get a chance, you see Hotel Mumbai, and you'll get a glimpse of what we faced. America is facing too, the threats of terrorism and everything. We also faced for those 3 days, 3 nights, the way the people were trapped. The after effects are even now there, but those 3 nights or 3 days in the hotel, you can see how people faced. The hostages were trapped in their rooms, and the way. That's a friend of mine whom the film is, Hemant Oberoi, who's one of the famous chefs in India. He and his team of chefs, how they managed people to, whoever they can evacuate, or they can just show the exit doors. So that's the story about. So this is all about Indian rich architectural heritage. We'll talk about, which talks about the rich knowledge they had about buildings. This is also just a glimpse of what India has in terms of natural heritage and also the built heritage. And by the way, it also shows one of the churches here also, because in Goa, which is primarily a Christian-dominated state, we have churches that iconic landmarks, and people visit. Now we come to music. Music is very much integral to our living, lifestyle, society. It all started, we have music originating in our Vedas, because music, why we say music is for body, mind and soul? Because there's something divine, there's something supernatural, there is something soothing, and the rhythms actually touch your chords. So it actually de-stresses yourself. So everything that is healing or gives you a touch of healing, it's something which has something divine in it. So we say it originated in Vedas, in ancient scriptures and all. Then it became very much devotional. It started in temples. It also started getting, just like the dance, which will be coming later in the next one, it was given the patronage of the state, and there were many magicians who were given patronage in the courts of the kings and in palaces. We have those traditions coming, and from those traditions, now we have those, what we call in India, the gharanas. Gharanas is the lineage. So those lineages are from these patronages which have got into, like in Gwalior or in Bhopal or in Lucknow or in even Punjab. So these were the palaces which actually promoted these people. And they are the doing. This guy was a famous, who had a great fusion with American musicians, Pandit Ravi Shankar. And this guy is Ustad Amjad Ali Khan. The instrument which he is sarod, and sarod was supposed to be the oldest instrument. That is historically, it is said that it was historically the oldest instrument. This guy is also no more. He used to play the shehnai, which is the trademark of the marriage ceremonies. So he is the Ustad Basmallah Khan, and then you have all these doyens of Indian legend. If you see that, you have the most prominent forms of, now we also have the folk music after the music of like the Hindustani vocal and the Carnatic, the two traditional ones. We have also the Maharashtra's Lavani, Gujarat Dandiya, Sufi form, Qawwali, Bengal bowls, and the Punjabi Bhangras. So they are the music which have now recently catching up, and it is more to do with the public. But this music which you see here, it's people who have actual rich interest in Indian art history and culture. They actually go, and there are musical nights of these people used to have. Now some of them are not there alive, but now it is their music on those CDs which we hear. And we have grown up and we have gone, and it is said when you go to their musical nights, after 1 hour or so, when the more it is getting late, then you actually get into that state of bliss. And finally, towards the end, you are in a different mood. You are not ready to stop. So always, if the music is from 7 to 9 p.m., it will go until 11 p.m. because the person will actually get into the mood after 9:30. So it's unlike America where they are very strict in time on the events. Here in the music and art, dance, these doins of the legends, we say, some of them are the living legends, but these people used to get in their mood only after 2 hours of their going into instrument. This is our festivals, which will tell you a lot. I think you're already seeing a lot of color in the festivals. Festivals are full of color, costume, cuisine, communities. So we have different festivals, the Punjab, and then Bihu, and then Ganesh Chaturthi, Diwali, Holi. Then this is the Durga Puja, which is currently going on for 9 days. We will be having that Durga Puja. And my friend is here from Lanka. We will be celebrating something. We have a connection, by the way. We all were from the same land, which is called Aryabharat and the great India. So there was a king called Ravana, Ravana. He was a great, I would say, well versed in Sanskrit, and he was a very learned ruler, but very powerful. And the legend says that he kidnapped wife of one of the famous legend gods we have called Rama. And Ram fought a war with him, and the day he defeated him, today is the 4th day, on the 10th day, we will be celebrating our Dashara festival, the victory. And the festival which you see, the lights, festival of lights, Diwali, is the festival to celebrate legend Ram back to his kingdom after 20 days of, in those days we say, the chopper flying. He came into that lotus-shaped air, whether you say it's drone or whatever it is, but it was. But that also shows the scientific knowledge or the scientific imagination of those people who wrote those legendary texts. That in that period, people can think about something like aerial transportation. And he came in that lotus-shaped, which is almost like some drone or a chopper. So he came and that thing is celebrated. So that was a connection with Lanka and India now. But earlier it was the same. So we were all the same. And we all have come from the same, whether it is Pakistan, Lanka, Bangladesh. It's a larger complex of families and cultures that have coexisted for centuries and millennia together. Now we come to food, which you guys only think about these ones. But we have these old, the Persian, Middle Eastern, Central Asian, South Asian cuisines. You know why? Because we have seen these cultures, at least for the last 2,000 years, if you say, especially from the 1000 AD, even if you say 1000 years, which is like coming from the Arabs and then to Tughlaqs and the Mughals, and then up to even the Lodhis and the Afghans who came briefly, and then came the British, who also gave us the best of the confectionaries and the best of the bakeries and the breads. So we got into the breads, and then came our own food, and that got mixed with these cultures. We also tried to have our own culture into that. Like, I'll give you a brief example. Like, the Mughals came with their own sets of spices and own sets of, because they came from cold places, and they came with their own hot spices. But in India, the climate was hot. So they had to calm down on those. If you see how the meat is cooked in West Asia, or even in Iran and in other places, it's different from how we cook in India. The spices were slightly lowered, but they got mixed, and there are a lot of food which came out of that fusion, which is one is biryani and other things, and that is how they used to make it. And then in Hyderabad, when you go south, you have a different mix of food, because in Hyderabad they had the local thing also. So the food also talks about the culture and the customs. It also talks about our own customs. And by the way, in our customs, guesting, hosting, food is very important for us. In India, in a normal day also, if you just see the way we cook, we always cook in abundance. We always cook more than required. Because the tradition is, you never know who will come on the door or who will knock your door. Like yesterday, I got a feel of India back here in West Virginia. Professor Sudhakar took me to a friend of his. We had lunch there, a pure Indian lunch, because I was also slightly fed up with subs and sandwiches for the last 2 days. And I'm a vegetarian for this week because of the Navratras we are having. So I can't eat anything outside. So the basic thing I can have is the bread and the butter. So he took me to a friend of his, and I got the pure Indian flavor there. But the story doesn't end here. He packed it for my family when he came to know about that. So imagine, he invited us, so that food was there, we ate it there, and he packed it also, and he asked that, do you need anything more, just let me know. So imagine, that custom is still here to cook food more than required. And we all do. And no wonder we waste also. India wastes about 40% of the food it cooks. At the same time, India has 30% of the population which cannot even have 2 meals a day. Something we need to reconnect, where the waste food can be reprocessed and come to the help and aid of that population which is low on nutrition. So these are some of the vegetarian, basically we are primarily, people used to say that we are vegetarian. These are the old schools I've got from, but now meat eating and different flavors are becoming a norm. And if you are in a big city, anywhere in Chennai or in Bangalore or in Delhi, Hyderabad, any big city or Calcutta or anything, the variety, the flavors won't be a difficulty. You name a variety and you will get it, whether it is Mexican, Indian, Lebanese, you ask for Mediterranean food, you ask for Chinese, you ask for continental, you will get everything, other than the platter which you will have from the Indian platter. And the Indian platter itself will be too big. In our weddings, the amount of food which you will see, I'll be coming to that very soon, because wedding is something very integral to the Indian custom, traditions and all that. This is Dances of India. So I'll go back to, in our weddings we have the platters where almost like 20 types of desserts are served. The minimum even in a basic party banquet, 5 types of desserts are very usual. But in the big spreads of upper middle class, the high classes, 20 spreads, 20 desserts. And that is called the India fat wedding, fat Indian wedding, because we have like too much of food, too much of food. At least you can, the amount of food which is cooked and done and laid over can be enough for the entire village or entire community in that part of the city, in some smaller cities. And interestingly, just to add here, that if we have 3 functions back to back, we will not repeat the desserts. We'll have different ones. So generally people do a lot of gym before going to such parties these days. Coming down to dances of India. Like music, dance is very integral to our culture, customs, society, history. If you see this picture, this one, except for these 2 people, you won't know what is this, but this is the specimen and also the example of like why Indians dance a lot in Bollywood. This is the first dancing girl in recorded history of India, the dancing girl of Mohenjo-daro. Okay, it's recorded, this girl showing the hand and the hip. It's the famous sculpture of a dancing girl of Mohenjo-daro, the Indus Valley civilization. So this shows that how rich the traditions are into dancing. And the dancing all started from 5,000-year-old, which is the recorded one. Dancing all started from the courts and the palaces. We have the rich traditions of keeping dances right from temples to courts. And as you know, that Indian customs had separate enclosures for women and men in the palaces. So women had their own set of entertainment, own style of entertainment. So they used to keep their own set of dancers or musicians, those who were only permitted to enter that side. Men had their own set of dancers and also the musicians who used to be present in the court at the time when the court is functioning. The way government functions, the court used to take their decisions and all, just like that, the normal governance. So there, like we have the TV sets, they had the live entertainment. So these things were very common, and then came the temples, and in India there was a tradition called Devdasis, slaves of the god. We call it servants of the god, but just because you say dasis, dasis like you just bow down to the supernatural power. It can be das in the male form, it can be dasi in the women form, in the female form. So it is something like you have already bowed down to the divine power. You have given up. You have just committed yourself. So those dancers had no role except to play and dance in the temple on different occasions. Also on occasions like the rituals and the festivals. And when the king used to come for the special prayers and the special rituals on the day of festivals, the special dance used to have. They used to have the patronage. And they used to be called the Nagar Vadhus also. There is a tradition called Nagar Vadhus. Like they were the brides of the city also, by the state.
It's over in the corner.
So they were called, so this is the different forms of dances. If you see, mainly 8, I have missed out on one, Bihu, which is from the northeastern state, and that was the harvest, after harvest, they do that Bihu dance and all. But this is Bharatnatyam from south, and you have Kathak from northern side, Kathakali and Mohiniyattam from Kerala. Then you have Kuchipudi from Andhra Pradesh, Odissi from Odisha, and Manipuri from Manipur. These two are the Bhangra, which you see most of the time in Indian Bollywood, but this is from the northern side, and even in India, even in New York City and DC, and most of the functions in the west coast of San Francisco and Los Angeles, you will see a lot of these dances and these festivals going on. This is a folk dance and a song from a film clip, but also very common in Kashmir. Kashmir, by the way, has a rich music traditions. Whatever people know about Kashmir in the present times, and they read only the negative things about, and they have associated, it's a paradise still. Whatever it is left with, it is still a paradise for us. And whenever I visit that state, I only look to the hills. The people there, and it is said that in Kashmir, if someone invites you for dinner, don't reject him at the last minute, or don't regret. Don't say that I can't come. Because the time of preparation that family gets into making that dinner for you is like a whole day. It's a meal which you will not forget. It goes into like a different traditional, it's a different style of cooking.